Hello anybody, this is Double T Man with another under 15-minute video. This one is on the 2023 Pittsburgh Steelers, a pre-training camp look, and why I think this feels a lot like 1974. Vegas has Pittsburgh winning 8.5 games. Steelers fans and Steelers media have Pittsburgh winning 11 to 12 games. Pittsburgh fans and the media, we know football. We know the difference between a good team and a great team. We've seen a lot of them over the years. In short, Pittsburgh is right and Vegas is wrong. The way I see it, non-Steelers fans checked out of the Steelers halfway through last season before they got good. They were 2-6 going into the bye week. Most of the fans across the nation, unless you were a Steelers fan, just basically stopped paying attention. They didn't pay attention to the fact that the Steelers, after the bye week, got good, got real good. Here, I'm going to give you some numbers in case you didn't hear it, because a lot of people don't know all these stats. In fact, some of them I looked up, I've never even heard before. But here's some stats that I think are really interesting. Kenny Pickett was the second best quarterback in the last 8 games, according to PFF QBR. In other words, PFF rated the quarterbacks based on every play, based on how they did, not based on stats, but based on what they actually did. And they said, hey, Kenny Pickett is the second best quarterback in the NFL for the last half of the game, for the last half of the season. Very significant. ESPN tells a different story, but not that bad. They're just outside the top 10 for ESPN. PFF has them number 2. That's significant. Now, during the last half of the season, Pickett was 5 touchdowns and 1 interceptions. The Steelers had a time of possession of 33 minutes and 35 seconds in the last 8 games. If you compare that to the season-ending stats for the rest of the teams, that's 3 seconds better than last year's best team and over 2 minutes better than the NFL's second best team. So time of possession, they were really kicking butt at the end of last year. The third down conversion for that same time period, they were 54%. The NFL best for the whole year was 50.23, so they were 4% better than the best in the league. Again, second best rated quarterback in the league. Rushing average is 4.31 per carry, 18th best, nothing, good but not great. Rushing average per game was 150, how many yards they got per game, 156. That was 4th best. That showed that the Steelers were kind of like more committed to the run. 4th best. Yeah, that's pretty good. Offensive scoring, 21.1, 18th best. Not good enough. Needs to get better. Everybody knows that needs to get better. It's expected to get better. They had a rookie quarterback last year. I think they'll get better this year. Defensive scoring, they were number 1. Once TJ Watt came back, they reverted back to the number 1 defense. At least when it came to scoring, they gave up 16.5 points per game. So when I say that the Steelers are underrated, especially by Vegas, that's kind of the beginning of why I think that is the way it is. Now, a lot of people will criticize those stats because they'll say, well, the end of last year was an easier schedule. And it's true, that was kind of easier, but this year's an easy schedule too. In fact, the Steelers have the 5th easiest schedule in the NFL. And if you look at the percentage based off of last year's wins and losses, the last 9 games of the Steelers, the winning percentage is comparable to the winning percentage of this year's opponents. So, it really does translate from last year to this year. So let's start talking about the offense. Kenny Pickett, significantly better than last year. 1, because he's a rookie. Every rookie should get significantly better. 2nd, he's one of the hardest working quarterbacks in the NFL. The league doesn't know this yet. Pittsburgh does. It's becoming legendary. He's a natural born leader with high charisma. Watch any of his interviews. People follow him. Teammates will follow him. That makes a difference. He wears 2 gloves, which is why he was so good at the end of second half of last year. He's better in cold weather, or he has a cold weather advantage over every other quarterback in the NFL. Because when it gets really cold, they're going to have to make a choice. Either I wear a glove, which is something I'm not used to, advantage Kenny Pickett, or I don't wear a glove and my hand is freezing, advantage Kenny Pickett. So quarterback, we should be significantly better this year than we were last year because of how hard he works, because of how much improvement he made last year. Running, should be significantly better. Najee Harris should be healthy. Plus, they have trust in Jaylen Warren. Najee Harris is the starter, will be the starter. Jaylen Warren is a better running back in every single way. Tight end, we are significantly better. This is going to be Pat Freiermuth's third year, and that's he's been making steady progress. He's about ready to make that elite status. And he might be the second best tight end on this team because they drafted Darnell Washington in the third round this year, a guy that I think is probably going to be the steal of the draft for all teams. I think he's a Hall of Famer if he stays healthy. He's already an elite blocker. Chris Collinsworth called him an insane blocker. I think he has fantastic receiving skills, but everybody agrees he's going to be the best blocker at tight end, period. Hands down, not even a question. So he's got a floor that's really high. If he can catch a ball, and there's every reason to think he can do fantastic at that. He is a freak athlete with elite size hands and arm length, and made great catches in college. Just not a lot of them because he wasn't thrown the ball a lot. He can be an elite receiver. Wide receiver, we're stacked with different types. George Pickens, he's ready to break out and become a really good player. He's already fantastic at catching the ball, has made some of the best catches in NFL history already as a rookie. He has to get better at getting open. The good news is Deontay Johnson's really good at getting open. He was voted the best at getting open. So George Pickens, who was voted the best, or who was ruled the best at catching the ball, if he can get better at getting open, holy cow, the sky's the ceiling for this guy. Third wide receiver, the guy I'm really looking forward to seeing, Calvin Austin III. Last year, he was the fastest guy on the team. Some say by a little, some say by a lot. But he was definitely the fastest guy on the team. Some people think he might be one of the fastest people in the NFL. Sauce Gardner called him the hardest receiver to cover. This guy has talent. This guy can do good. He was tearing it up in training camp last year. Got hurt right before the first preseason game, so fans didn't get to see him at all. Unless you went to training camp, you didn't get a chance to see him. This guy could be our breakout player of the year. It's between him and Darnell Washington that could really kind of surprise things here. Offensive line, they're stacked. They brought back all 5 starters, and they brought in 3 significant people, including Isaac Seumalo, who's going to play left guard, probably our best offensive lineman this year. He's going to replace Kevin Dotson, who was probably our worst offensive lineman last year. We brought in Nate Herbig as a backup interior lineman. We got Broderick Jones, we brought in as a left tackle, 14th pick overall. A lot of people had him as the best left tackle in the draft. Not a lot of experience, so don't know if he's going to start the season or come in later. Either way, he's probably going to start sometime this year. High potential guy. Probably not going to be great this year because he doesn't have a lot of experience, but should do good. The advantage about him, the really good thing about him, is to his right is going to be Isaac Seumalo, left guard, experienced, really one of the smartest offensive linemen in football. And to his left, he could have tight end Darnell Washington, the same guy he played with in college. So this offense is like deep and it's diverse. It can attack you running the ball. It can attack you passing the ball. This offense is ready to become elite. It could have as many as 4 elite players. Kenny Pickett, he's going to be very good. Could be elite. I don't think he's going to be elite this year. Darnell Washington and Pat Freiermuth, I think both of them could be elite this year. That's 3. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to count on them, but those are 3 that could. And I think Calvin Austin III and George Pickens could be 2 elite wide receivers. We're going to have to see. Right now, none of them are elite. But if 2 of them become elite, just 2 of them, that's a really good offense. And if 3 of them, all it takes is 3. Let's talk about defense. Talk about defense, talk about TJ Watt. Like I said, first half of the season, he was out most of it. They went 2-6, 1-6 without him. Second half of the season, they have by points per game, they had the best defense, in the NFL, going by their last 8 games compared to the rest of the NFL's season-long stats. And I know it's not apples to apples, but it's close enough. It means something. They have 2 rookie cornerbacks this year that could really be something special. A couple of defensive linemen, Keanu Benton, Marvin Leal, at the defensive line that could be something, but have more hope in the cornerbacks, I think Joey Porter Jr. has a chance to be something special, and I think Corey Trace has a chance to be something special. Now, what? I'm not calling them special yet. Let's hold our horses. Let me wait till I see them in the preseason and the regular season. But they have a chance. But it really does come down to T.J. Watt. If he's healthy, the defense is going to be really, really good. If he's not, we'll have to wait and see. You're going to have a lot of people step up for them to have a really, really good defense without him. I do like the fact that they shored up the nose tackle position. They brought in a good backup outside linebacker. So I feel very confident that the defense will be decent. And if TJ Watt stays healthy, could be really, really good. And it could be superb if the cornerbacks come through. I want to wrap this up with a couple of reminders and a final thought or two. Pickett was the second highest quarterback at the end of last season. That's significant. The defense was number one when TJ Watt was on the field. That's very significant. The offense has excellent backups at every positions, including Jaylen Warren, that I think is a better running back, Darnell Washington, that I think is a better tight end than our really great tight end, Pat Freiermuth, and Calvin Austin III, who I think could be a breakout player this year. They also have a backup, interior offensive lineman, defensive lineman. Their quarterback, they're stacked as far as that goes. Offensively, like I said, they have a lot of good players. In fact, as long as they stay healthy, they can really prey on people that have a weakness anywhere that they do. They can go to 11 personnel with Pickett, Harris, Freiermuth, Pickens, Diontae Johnson, and Calvin Austin III. Good luck stopping any of those guys in the passing game. The 12 personnel, Pickett, Harris, Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Pickens, and then Diontae Johnson or Calvin Austin III, depending on what their defensive backs are good at. They just match up nightmares all across the board. Next comes the schedule. The schedule, I think, was really advantageous. I could not have done a better schedule myself. They started off the season with the first two games against San Francisco and Cleveland. Both of them are breaking in quarterbacks. I'd rather play them early than late. San Francisco is the first game. Well, they're going to play Brock Purdy. Probably not going to play in the preseason. We saw how good that worked out for Cincinnati last year. It didn't. So hopefully Pittsburgh can get a game up on them, which is important because that's a tough team. Our division plays that division, and the toughest team in that division is San Francisco. Maybe we get a win, and maybe Cincinnati and Cleveland and Baltimore, they might not get so lucky as to get a win, and they have to play San Francisco too. Cleveland, we played them the second game. Deshaun Watson's still warming up. Maybe we can get a win there. Maybe we can't. We'll see. The toughest part of the schedule is down at the end. That's good because Pickett's a young guy who's getting better. So the Steelers should be at their best at the end of the season. They have an early bye week, which last year they really turned their team around during the bye week. So to have an early bye week is probably a good thing for this team. They have two mini buys later on, so that's good. They have 3 bye weeks, one early, the main one, and then 2 mini ones later on. They play 2 Thursday night games. That's where you get the mini bye weeks from. But the 2 games are at home, which is an advantage in 2 games. They also have an advantage for the 2 games after that because of the mini bye weeks. So that gives them 4 games in which they have a significant advantage. The Steelers division, hey, we play the AFC South. Well, compare that to the AFC West and the AFC East. They have to play each other. They're going to beat each other up. We get to play teams like Indianapolis and Houston and Tennessee and who's the other team? I can't remember the other team. Oh, Jacksonville. Jacksonville's going to be tough, no doubt. Jacksonville's going to be tough. Finally, I just wanted to talk about 1974. In 1974, the Steelers had a really good team. They had Bradshaw, they had Franco, they had Mel Blount, Jack Ham, Mean Joe Green, L.C. Greenwood, and many others. They were at the AFC Championship 2 years before. Then they had a great draft. That's what helped them to win 4 out of the next 6 Super Bowls. The Steelers going into this year, I thought had a really good year, a really good team. They had Kenny Pickett, who I believe in, George Pickens, Calvin Austin III, T.J. Watt, Micah Fitzpatrick. They had some really good players. Then they added a really great draft. Do I think they're going to win 3 out of 4 Super Bowls? I don't know. I'll tell you what, wouldn't count it out. This team is ready to go. They're ready to win Super Bowls, and they're ready to win multiple Super Bowls starting this year. We shall see. Starting this year, they are contenders. Thank you for listening. Bye.